This is my first pronghorn tag in Montana in a long time. I drew in 2021, but my mom had lung cancer and I had to fly back to Minnesota, so I missed most of that hunting season. And I tried to turn the tag back in for like a wounded vets or whatever, but archery season had already started, so I missed the deadline of turning it back in. And prior to that, it was 2014. So this is my second Montana pronghorn tag since 2014. Don't ask me why I'm so unlucky with Montana pronghorn, but I'm excited to do it, even though I only have this afternoon, tomorrow, and the next morning. So what's that, 2 afternoons and 2 mornings? And most people would say, you're going out Montana pronghorn hunting after opening weekend, you're crazy. These bucks and the whole herds are going to be so shot up and so spooky, you'll never find one. And they might be right. But that's what me and Jace are here to do. And quite honestly, I have until November, I think, 9th or 10th, something like that. So I'm going to take the Matthew Newberg approach. I'm just going to look and look and no. And then on the last evening, the night before season closes, I'll shoot one. So settle in, get your popcorn. This is going to be a long, drawn-out hunt. Or if I see a buck, it might not be that long and drawn out. But see it happen. I'm excited to be out here finally. Seeing more deer than I am antelope. One of the cool parts about this spot, from a fond memories standpoint, about 10 miles that way, I shot my first Montana pronghorn in 1992. And Matthew was this little tyke. He and Kim were with me. He could hardly get over to it, and he's pulling on the horns. And it was so cool. And then the next year we got caught in a blizzard about 5, 6, 7 miles over that way. And it was just a whiteout, so I just parked the truck. I'm like, well, we're gonna wait until it gets light. And just before it got light, the blizzard stopped, and we looked, and there's a herd of pronghorn like 150 yards away from us. And I snuck over there and shot one through 6 inches of snow wearing my Converse All-Stars. That's all I had for hunting gear at the time. I elk hunted, I deer hunted, I bird hunted, I antelope hunted in my white and blue Converse All-Stars. Matthew was along on that trip. I think he was along on just about all of my pronghorn hunts for the longest time. And he'd have so much fun. He's always looking for fossils or something else to entertain him. And I think that's a big part of why pronghorn hunting is such a passion of mine, is how much fun we had as a family just out here goofing off. Quiet, lonely. And at the time, pronghorn numbers in Montana were through the roof. It was probably the peaks of them in the 90s. And it was a great place to take a toddler on a big game hunt. Sure, some people might wonder what the strategy is with me just driving and glassing. I have all of these little sections of public land marked on my map, and so I'm driving just to see if there are pronghorn on any of them. Because if they are, then I know what the territorial nature of pronghorn. They're not going to be far from that in the next day or so. And then I can come back and I can find them and hunt them. And so if I could have 4 or 5 groups located before dark, then I'd have a hunt that I could pull off tomorrow. But they're just so few pieces of public land that I might be pushing a rope here. But that's the strategy anyhow, because right now it's post-rut. The bucks are in a food pattern, so that means they're in with the does. the groups are going to be way bigger. You're going to see groups of 20 to 50 animals instead of the groups of 6 to 8 that you see during the rut. And so you're going to see fewer groups, but the groups you see are going to be more conspicuous because there's going to be more pronghorn in each group. So it's my hope is just find some groups and be there looking at them come daylight tomorrow. But I got a lot of ground I got to cover to get to each of these little spots of public, and just hope that there's some pronghorn on one of them or a couple of them. That's the strategy anyhow. We'll see if it works. If I had a shotgun, I could step out and dump them right there. Boy, what's wrong with you, Randy? Oh my gosh, look at them all. Boy, that is a crop of Sharpies this year. The biggest buck I ever shot in Montana was in a spot like this. I just laid down in a cut. Because I'd glassed some antelope way off a basin about this big. And they went over, and I'm like, so much for that idea. They're gone. It's getting warm. I'm just going to take a nap. And I hear some shooting out where those antelope had went to. And I look up, and they're running my direction. But they're about 1.5 miles away. They keep running. I lay back down. I'm like, I better look just to make sure. I look up, and now they're like 400 yards, still running straight my direction. So I laid down in that cut, and they ran right up to me like 30 yards. The buck was in the back, and it was a bad day for him. They stopped to look at me, and boom. I'm blasting a long distance here. There's got to be pronghorn here somewhere. Well, I'm over here glassing around, and Jace is like, well, there's some over there, and there's some out there, and I think there's more out there. So I handed him the spotter, and he threw the old all-in on there. We got all kinds of footage of pronghorn now from 2 miles away. But now we got about 1.5 hours of daylight. We got to make this great big loop. You go way over there. It's about 8-mile loop. By the time we go back 3 miles, up 2 miles, over 3 miles, it might even be more than 8 miles. So we're gonna boogie and do that because this is the only pronghorn we've seen, and I don't want to screw it up. If there's a even halfway decent buck in there, thump. I am not gonna be Mr. Picky. Let's go. Let's go then. At least one group of them. Right out in the middle there. 600 or 700 yards at least. I don't know. Right towards that bench. They might see us dropping down in here, but we really don't have any choice with the fading light. nice buck there. He's looking right at us.
Oh, Randy.
What?
Where? In that green flat.
Holy cow. There they go. That was that other group, dang it. Dang it. We knew there was a second group out here.
Yeah, there's more coming up.
Where at?
Right on the top of that hill. They're kind of falling.
Oh, yeah. Let's go left. These guys are coming this way. Let's drop down in this bottom real quick. These guys are gone. That must be them. Well, we knew there were two groups out here. And the one group we couldn't see. Well, they happened to be down in this hole off to our left. So when we're focused on this group, the other group's watching us. And just at the last minute, Jason's like, off to your left. And I look, and about 500 yards out there, they start running. Well, this group we're closing in on saw those white butts, and they just looped out and went along with them. But this group has a pretty nice buck in it. Definitely a shooter in Montana. So we're gonna watch where they go to, see if they calm down. We're gonna mark it tomorrow morning at light. We're gonna be close by. Since the sun is gonna come from the southwest, we might drive all the way back down to where we first glassed them. Come in from that way. Dang it. I was worried about that when I couldn't find that other group. Oh well, that's how it goes. I had better expectations than that. Now we gotta drive around, set up camp in the dark, and go get them. Go get them tomorrow. We know kind of where they went, but they're still moving, so hopefully they just bed down for the night. I don't think they were pushed too hard. And we'll be down there, that's south. We'll have somewhat of the south sun behind us, even though it's overcast. And maybe we'll find them tomorrow. There's a couple nice bucks in there. I'd shoot either of them. So stand by, because if they get within range, there's going to be some shooting going on. See you tomorrow. Some dish. Still a little dark to see real well, but I see a pronghorn way out there. That's why you bring a camera guy like Jace. He just stands up here with his young eyes. Oh, there's some over there. On the tree over there. And I get out my bino and then I'm like, huh? You sure about that? Huh? Well, would you look at that? There they are. None of you young people used to watch the $6 Million Man with Lee Majors. He had a bionic eye. That's Jace McFetridge. Got a bionic eye or two. Then you got an old guy like me. I got a floater right in the middle of my right eye, my shooting eye. So my optometrist is like, move your eye really quick, and the floater floats. And so the gravity or the momentum or inertia will move it off to the side. I'm not kidding. I was hoping it was a Cadillac and they could remove it, but pretty sure that's them, Jace. We see where they bed, and they'll bed in about an hour, maybe two. If we could get them to bed somewhere, we could use one of these gullies and some of this topography to go get them. Yeah, the one buck is significantly nicer than the other, even though the other one is still a shooter. We're gonna go back to the truck. There's a road that goes that way west, and then we're gonna walk up north and look down in there and see what we can see. Get a better approach strategy. Because once they lay down, sometimes they disappear. So we better go do it while they're on their feet. See if we can find them. See if we drop down in there before the sun gets up any higher. See if we can drop down into this cut and get out of the view of these antelope. And maybe we'll have a chance. I hope. Go get my weapon, my gat. I think they're right over there. gosh, dang, got brush right in the way. I had a shot, but there was brush right in the way. I got too close. There he is right there looking at me, but he's skyline. Can't take a skyline shot. Let's go to this point right here and see if they look for us. I don't know if they're gonna stop. Always one stops at the wrong spot. They're stopped just right behind that hill. 189. Damn it. Well, why couldn't they all stop there? Walking. We're gonna cut down and intercept them. I gotta go find my gloves. Be over that lip. They're either really close or they're long gone. Truck driving around up there surely isn't helping us. Dang it, we got too close.
Andy. There.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're way north again. Dang. Don't get that close to them. No, just they'd fed this way a little bit and I didn't notice it because we were out of sight. We're gonna drop down in this cut and make a great big loop. I mean a big loop. Wow. Look at all of those. I've never seen that many sage grouse in my life in one big flush. Holy smokes. That's crazy. Go right over to the antelope to warn them. Hey, something flushed us. Oh well. Truck is still driving around out there. I think he's trying to loop out in front of him. We're gonna go right here and see where they're at. Yep. 10 of them with 2 bucks. That's that's them. I think we're gonna have to sit here for a little bit and see what they do. Dang it. Well, it's 10 o'clock and it is usually about bedding time for pronghorn, and they've bedded out there. And the truck that was on the skyline this morning, he's made this huge loop, and every time he's moved, they've moved away from him. But now they're bedded in a spot where I would think he'd be able to see them. But maybe he's not hunting. I don't know. Maybe he's a rancher checking his cows, because he's parked over there right now. And he's not going after them. They're about 2 miles north of us. And so we're here, they're over here, and just a little bit above them, there's some hills. So rather than hike 2 miles across a flat where they can see me coming, I'm gonna hike 1.5 miles back to the truck, make a big loop, come around, and I'm gonna come over those little hills that are above them. I think I'd have about a 300-yard shot. I might be wrong. Maybe it'd be longer than that, but. And if we bump them and we bump them back out into this stuff again, well, there's enough topography here. We found out this morning you can get to about 120, 130 yards. You just got to make sure they're not standing in some brush or skyline, which that was my mistake today. I don't take skyline shots, so they got away. We're gonna load up, pull it back to the truck, and make sure that they're still bedded when we leave to go after them. And hopefully they'll stay bedded in the time it takes us to drive around there and hike in. Boom. A couple of those bucks in there. There's 2 bucks in there. They're both so-so. One's a little nicer than the other. So I'd shoot either of them today. Here's our problem. We're on the ridge up above them. They're 650 yards away. Obviously, I'm not taking that shot. They're out in this big dry lake bed where there's no topography. If they stay here, we're not gonna be able to make a play on them. So out that way to the south, there's a lot more topography. That's where we got really close to them this morning. I'm gonna make a loop here, and I'm gonna go straight at them. And I got about a 1 in 50 chance I'll get within range. The other 49 chances is they're going south and they're gonna get out in that more broken country where we actually have a chance to sneak and get within range. So I know it's close to a 0 chance, but we're gonna give it a whirl with the primary objective is to push them south where there's some topography. So here goes nothing. Already looking at us. Some are looking at that guy in that truck, and some are looking at us. Well, there they go. That's what I figured they'd do. That didn't take long. I want them to go south, not east. I've all the places, they were to our southwest. I thought if anything, they're going to go west or south, not straight east. Well, well. Well, folks, that's how she goes. We couldn't go any further that way because right there's the fence. Anything on that side is private, so we had to hug this fence line. And I thought by hugging this fence line, we'd push them back further into the BLM, but they must have some sort of property ownership map in their head. And it's probably very accurate because they say, well, on this side of the fence, we don't get shot at. It must be private. That side of the fence over there, we get shot at a lot. It must be public. I think that's their digital map. There's more than we left with. They're multiplying out there, Jace. Where did they all come from? There's 40 or 50 of them out there. On private. What are you going to do about that? These antelope are just, this group is about 1.5 miles off the public. This group is just very close. But what we want is, this is the group we got really close to this morning. And it looks like they're looping back into where we saw them this morning, which is all BLM. So I'm not inclined to go mess with them with just a half hour of dark left, or daylight left, and possibly bump them further into private. So just going to keep an eye on them. Hopefully in the morning they'll be in some similar spot. And the mistake I won't make tomorrow is to get that close without knowing exactly where they are. My mistake. You hear all those swans? Crazy. Montana is a beautiful place in October. A little bit of everything. I don't want to bump these antelope and make them any more nervous because they are going in the direction I want them to go for the morning. So fingers crossed, there's 2 nice bucks in there. Thanks for tagging along. Tomorrow is the last day before we got to switch over to elk hunting. Unless I decide, heck with elk hunting. Maybe I'll just keep pronghorn hunting. Never know. See you in the morning.